L is for the way.
At Petfix Club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfixclub.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.
Hi, I'm Pete Wedderburn, also known as Pete the Vet, and I'm here doing an IGTV session, as I do every Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. I'm doing it on behalf of Petfix Club. Now, Petfix Club is a new website, a really exciting new website. I'm a co-founder of it, and our aim is to provide good quality veterinary information for everybody, everywhere, all the time at an affordable price. That's the aim of Petfix Club. As part of Petfix Club, we also have Petfix Shop. That's petfixshop.ie, and what we have there is basically an online store where you can buy anything and everything for your pet, from pet food to pet accessories to cool dog toys to bedding, clothing, some dog clothing, and some veterinary products like wormers and flea treatments. And our aim is to give really good quality products at good prices. And as a vet, I've been a vet for 35 years now, and I know what works for pets. And so our shop is full of stuff that I know that works. And that includes our own brand food, Petfix Club food. And that's based on the food that I know works for my own dogs and cats. And so if it works for them, I'm pretty confident it'll work for most dogs and cats. And they thrive. And for me, it's all about helping animals thrive, helping owners help their animals thrive. So basically, this week I'm going to be joined shortly by P J Gallagher, well-known comedian and radio host. So he'll be coming along in just a minute or two, I think, if all goes according to plan. Let me just look through all these notifications. There's a good bunch of you out there. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. And we'll get started shortly. Let's just see. There we are. Anyway, so isn't it great, a bit of warm weather? Like, May normally in Ireland is kind of reasonably fine and sunny, and this year it wasn't until today, and today was. So that was. Anyway, here's PJ. Let's see. Bring him on stream. Here he comes. Hi, PJ.
Hey, how's it going? How's things?
Great. Good to see you. Good to see you
as well. How are you?
Great. I see you did the opposite to me in COVID with your hair. Like, you went short.
I did, yeah. I've been shaving my head. I've been giving myself crew cuts. And this is actually my first attempt at a regular post-pandemic haircut because it was so short on top, but it still looks kind of crew cutty. It doesn't look great.
Well, I just went the other way. I just let it go. What the heck?
Yeah, you went for the sort of mad professor look. It's deadly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's being polite. but listen, it's really good of you to join us today, because we have an IGTV session every Wednesday evening, and we like to include different folk and give people different angles on stuff about animals. And so yeah, you bring a completely new angle. And so tell me what you've been up to recently. What have you been doing?
Oh, well, I'm on Radio Nova every morning, still talking on Radio Nova from 6 o'clock with Jim McCabe, and that's great fun. I mean, we've just made a change. We were on Classic Hits, we've just changed over there, and then I've got the DIY challenge on RT1 at the moment, so I'm like the world's worst DIY guy, hosting a pretty good fun show about DIY that I'm terrible at.
Do you think you're getting better?
No, I mean, I'm getting worse. If anything, I've convinced myself that it's not worth me even trying. Like, I think I say in this week's episode that my hands are purely ornamental. Like, they're literally there, so I just have kind of regular looking arms. But they're really, I can't do anything with them, unfortunately. And this show has confirmed that I need to get a professional in, if I ever do.
What do you think it is that, how come some people are so good at it? Do you think it's because their dads taught them when they were young to be good at this stuff, or what is it?
I honestly think, having done the show a couple of times, I think it's like singing or dancing. I think you're born with this talent, you know, because every DIYer we talk to, they're like, oh no, honestly, anyone can do it. It's so easy. You just watch a YouTube video and it tells you exactly what to do. And then you try and do it yourself and you nearly burn the house down. And you're like, it's not easy. Like, you're just completely...
Can you do stuff like putting IKEA furniture together? Are you good at that, kind of flat packs made into stuff? Can you do that?
Flat pack? No, I bought some weight racks. I have these like weight squat racks things I bought like a week ago, and it looks like it's flat pack to put together. And I didn't have the one size spanner I've needed, so I've just given up hope. I've just decided I'm never going to build them. I've just decided fitness isn't that important.
Yeah. And listen, I know you're a big dog fan. So tell me about the dogs in your life just now.
Yeah, well, I have 2 dogs now. I've a Weimaraner called Wendy, and
they're lovely. They're a lovely breed, aren't they?
Just such an unbelievable dog. I mean, we all work for her. It's just that simple. Wendy runs every house she goes to. She's in charge of it. And I have a Staffordshire Terrier called Stella.
All right.
She's the polar opposite. She's a nervous wreck. She's an absolute lunatic. She ruins everything she touches. She demands attention constantly. Wendy doesn't want your attention at all. It's like she's way too good for anybody. And I love them both. I mean, like, my only thing I can bring to this is I'm a dog fan. Like, I'm a dog fan.
But that's great. It's great that you come out like that. Like, you know, a lot of people are quite kind of anxious about saying that sort of stuff even, you know. But it's great when cool people like you say you're a dog fan. Then that's great for the dog world. Dogs move up in everybody's estimation, you know.
Well, I don't know if I'm cool. I'm definitely not as cool as dogs. But I just my whole life, for me, a house isn't a home unless there's a dog in it. That's just the way it's been. Dogs make houses homes for me.
I mean, were you brought up with dogs around you in your family home?
Always had dogs. Yeah, always had dogs and always had collies. And then so these two, I don't know, like, these two came out of the blue really. And my last dog I had was Lilo. We got her from Dogs Trust in. She was one of the first dogs ever taken from Dogs Trust. And yeah, when they opened up, and then we lost her in November, but she had a great life, you know. She had a fantastic life, and she lived. How
old was she?
Well, we can never be too sure, but we think she was about 15. Like, she lived to some age, and she lived
That's a
quite
great
healthy.
age. Yeah.
And she was fantastic, you know. So Stella came along since Wendy. Came along since Lilo left, and she is everything Lilo isn't. She's so much hard work. She's so much hard work, but you love them no matter what. Like,
and your 2 dogs get on well together?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is older. One of them is about 9, you know, and the other one is only like 3. So she annoys her. She does her head in, you know. But like all relationships are like that, aren't they? I mean, every relationship, even a marriage is like that. Like, even a marriage, a lot of the time, the person you live with and are in love with is extremely annoying. So I guess it's no different when you've got 2 dogs that spend that much time together. They get annoyed with each other. They get fed up with each other. And one person wants to eat the remote control, and when the other person wants to eat the remote control. It's just a dog's life. But generally, they get on great.
I think in general that 2 dogs is much better than 1 from the point of view of the dog's existence, because they've always got company, and they're pack creatures. They like to have somebody else to hang around with, do you know?
Yeah.
And it just makes life easier. And I think also when you've got an older dog, having a young dog around just gives them a little bit of a kick up the ass and just keeps them, you know, keeps them watching their back and keeps them alert, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely see that with Wendy and stuff. I see them. The dynamic has changed. She's actually so much more active again since the smaller dog came along, you know.
Yeah.
But I do find that I have to walk them separately quite a lot because they like their own space, and to give them space from each other. Again, maybe I'm humanizing dogs again, but I know I like my own space every so often. So I think, they probably do as well. So yeah, I take them out on their own and let them have their own space, you know.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you're training dogs, it's just about impossible to train 2 dogs at once, because training,
you know,
you've got to eyeball them, and you know, unless you're good at moving one eye
in the opposite direction to the other one, this kind of thing, then it's impossible to train two dogs because you can't look at them both. So
yeah.
so
And
training,
like people, like
one to one.
some of them want to learn and some of them aren't so keen. Some of them like school and others don't. So when I'm with
Yeah.
Wendy and we're doing training, she's like looking at me and she's going, "This is great." And Stella, and she looks at Stella, she's like, "Excuse me, I'm in the middle of something." Right? Okay, I'm in the middle of learning here. Thank you. And if I'm doing it with Stella and Wendy's around, she's like, "I don't care about school. I just want to sniff poo and hang around with Wendy." It's like, I don't want to be with you. The school's boring. Nobody wants to learn. It's stupid. You know what I mean? There's sticks to eat and everything. So they all have different personalities. Yeah. So you got to get them on their own.
Yeah, you're right. And listen, you spoke on the Late Late Show one time, I think, about how dogs enjoy the moment. You were talking about that, weren't you?
Yeah, I used to talk about it a lot because one of the things I love about dogs is I might be in a bad mood or worried about something, or I might be upset about something, or I might think of something. And then you see a dog, and your dog, nobody can live in the now as much as a dog can. Nobody can. Your dog is outside in the garden, and they're like, "Let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in. Please, 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 let me in, let me in, let me in, let me in." And you let them in, you're like, "What do you want?" They're like, "I want to go out." You're like, "You are out." And it's like they're like, "But it's not about being in or out. It's about the process. It's about spending time with you." That's what it is. Your dog looks out the window and he's barking, "Row, row, look, 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 look," and you look and it's just another man with another dog, and it's like, "Oh, they're just like us. Isn't life amazing? Isn't like every day you feed your dog the same food that's in the same press? Every day your dog cannot believe it's happening. It's like the best surprise. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened. Oh my God, again. It just keeps coming. Life is fantastic and nothing changes." And I just if you don't learn a lesson from that, there's something wrong with you,
No, you're so right. You're so right. They I think one of the interesting, I've been qualified as a vet now for 35 years, and one of the really big changes that's happened in our understanding of animals in that time has been, back then used to say that animals didn't really have the same sort of emotions as humans, and they just kind of were a bunch of reflexes. But what we now know is that they have just the same emotions, almost the same emotions as we do. So when they do these special MRI scans of dogs' brains, when they seem to be looking like we would look when we were happy or sad or frightened or anxious, they have exactly the same bits of their brain that light up, and they've got the same neurochemicals going on. So they are just like us, except they haven't got the worry bit in the front of their brain. That's really it.
What would you do to live like that? I mean, to be able to do that. I mean, doesn't that show
You don't even have to work.
being? Yeah, they don't have to work. It's a superior being. You're a human servant. You're incapable of worry and stress and anxiety. That they are superior beings. It's just that simple.
We won't even talk about cats. That's for another day.
Yeah. Well, they're assassins, that's the catspiracy. They all communicate with each other to make us their servants. Everybody knows that.
They're the boss. But listen, this week you're involved in a new campaign with Dogs Trust. I know you've worked before. I remember you talking about neutering before a number of years ago. And it was great to have you supporting that. But this year you're talking about something that's, well, tell us what you're talking about this year.
Well, I'm talking about poo. It's all about poo because, I mean, so many people, as you know, have gotten dogs during the pandemic. Over the last year, there's more dogs in Ireland now than ever. People are at home more, so it was the time for them to get dogs, or they felt it was. And unfortunately, not everyone's picking up their shit, basically. So there's people are not picking up their poo. It's pretty disgusting. I mean, it's so easy to pick up poo. It's so easy. And it's so clean. If you have bags, if you don't have bags, there's always someone in the park that will give you a handful of bags. And that's something I've learned. And it's so easy. It's so you can pick it up, wrap it a couple of times. I know the first few times it feels disgusting, but it's not. What is disgusting is when poo is left on the ground and people push prams through it, or kids fall in it, or you put your new pair of runners in it, or and that's like 90%, I think 89% of people have said something like they see poo everywhere, or 60% of people say they see it in play areas. Like, it's everywhere. And that's it takes like one dog can do an awful lot of poo. So if one person's walking a dog in the same place every day, and it's pooing every day. That's a lot of poo. So it's just to please ask people not to give other dog owners a bad name and keep the parks clean for everybody. Because as a dog owner, you want to feel welcome in your park, and if poo keeps building up, it could be end up like a bit of an us and them thing, and that's not where anybody wants to be.
I was talking about. I just started a new weekly column in the Examiner, and on the Mondays. And this week I was writing about dog poo because, as well as the disgusting stuff that you're talking about there, that what a lot of folk don't realise is how dangerous it is. And basically, it's full of bacteria which aren't good at all, obviously. But as well as that, it's got dog worm eggs in it, and there's a bit of confusion about this. So the dog worm eggs, you see, they're actually pretty harmless as when they're fresh. But once they've been sitting outside in the environment for 2 or 3 weeks, the wee worm eggs, they incubate and they become little larvae, like little maggots. And they're so small you can't see them. But once they're at that stage, and if a human gets them on the hand and puts the hand in their mouth, then they infect humans, and then they can cause blindness in children. And that's the public health reason why it's so important to clean up dog poo. Because once the dog poo has just been washed away by the wind and the rain, the little worm eggs are still there because they're really hardy. And so that's what happens is you end up with public parks where you have kids playing and they fall over and they get some muck in their hand. And the parent goes, oh, at least there's no dog poo there. But what they don't realize was that if the dog had pooed there 6 weeks earlier, there could be the worm eggs there. And that could cause a child a problem. And that's why it's so important. That's the other reason why it's so important to pick up after them. So anyway, it's difficult to know how to get people to pick up after them. Do you ever go up to somebody and say to them, hey, excuse me, you didn't pick up after your dog? Have you ever done that?
I've even picked up a poo that wasn't mine in a fit of like, I'll show you how easy it is. And I guess that's the point, is it's not a dog problem, it's a human problem. Like, if you just pick it up, then all of these things we're talking about are gone. And people will make arguments, oh, there's not enough bins, or you can't put it in the bins, or they'll hang it off trees, or they'll do all that. But like, a poo isn't heavy, like really. Like, you can carry poo to a bin. You really can. It's in a plastic bag. If you really have to, you can put it in the boot of a car and dispose of it on the way home. Like, it's really not that hard to dispose of. So it's a human problem. It's that humans don't pick up the poo. The dog can't, you know. So it's really not a dog's thing like that. But yeah, I've had lots of encounters with people. Like, I mean, I've had lots of encounters. Regularly, I forget to bring poo bags to the park. I am probably known in the park as the guy who doesn't buy his own poo bags. And I was in the park.
Have you ever tried picking up poo? Have you ever tried picking up poo with other things you happen to have in your pocket, like a tissue?
Huge
Disgusting.
Leaves in autumn, like those huge leaves, and you're trying to like hold it like it's this, you know, really hot food to make it to a bin. Yeah.
Crisp bags.
Yeah. But what I will say, one of the best things about the pandemic is you can always have hand sanitizer in your pocket now, you know, so every time you can pick it up, which is something I never thought of before, you know. And Dogs Trust are calling me Poo J. You can see that comment coming in there. They're calling me Poo J now, which is a title I'm very proud of. I'm actually quite proud to be called P J Gallagher, at least for the remainder of this campaign.
And how long is the campaign going on for?
Well, it was just launched on Monday, and it's the big scoop with Dogs Trust. So I guess it's I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's an ongoing campaign. I want to remain the face of pick up your poo as long as I can. I want to keep spreading the message. And like you said, to not be afraid to remind people. I mean, it should be as antisocial as, you know, I mean, it should be as antisocial as anything else. Like, you wouldn't have a beer and get into a car now, and you would have years ago. You wouldn't do a lot of things. So it's just something to, it's nice. It's just respecting the people around you. That really is it. Like you're talking about worm eggs and dirt and everything. It's just not. It's just a nice thing. You're being a productive member. You know, sometimes you wonder, how can I be a productive member of society? Pick up your poo. That's step one.
Did you hear what they're doing in Cork now? So there's like plain clothes. Normally it's a litter warden. Well, the job of catching people, like, it's against the law not to pick up after your dog, right? So if you don't pick up after your dog and you get caught, you can get given a litter fine of €150 on the spot. And if you contest it and it goes to court and you're found guilty, then you can get up to £3,000 fine. But the problem is, it's actually quite difficult to catch people in the act because they're often doing it like in the early hours of the morning, like before when they take the dog out for a walk first thing, or in the evening when they're walking the dog after work. And often the litter wardens aren't on duty at that time, and so they don't catch people. So in Cork, they're putting them in plain clothes and they're putting them on duty early morning and late evening, and they're kind of going to sneak up on people and catch them in the act. So watch out if you're in Cork. And the other thing is exciting that's happened. Well, exciting. It is exciting. In Leitrim. In Leitrim, they're doing. If they find a poo sample, somebody's left some poo somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're going and picking it up, and they're taking a DNA. They're analysing the DNA in it, and then they're going to get a database of all the dogs that walk in that area, and they'll compare the poo sample with all the dogs. And so then that's like legal proof that your dog did it. And so that's what they're doing there.
It's amazing that we have actual full-time poo patrols going on. I mean, it's kind of fantastic, isn't it? Like that's some real direct action right there.
It is. They're pretty determined to get on top of this, really. There are some difficult times though with poo because, like, has your dog ever had diarrhea?
Yes. My dog got into on Valentine's Day one year. I bought chocolates for myself, and the dog got into the entire box of milk tray. And as you know, dogs, you shouldn't give them chocolate. They're lactose intolerant, all that, and it ended in a real mess in the kitchen. A real mess. Which I mean, I don't really want to go into it too much.
No, you don't need to. But like, if you're out on a walk and that happens, that's quite tricky then, isn't it? Because it's pretty difficult to pick up when it's like that.
Yeah, if you can though, and especially on hotter days and stuff, even a squirty bottle of water. Like on hot days, you might have a squirty bottle of water in a fold-up bowl. You might have some of that, so you won't be able to pick that up. There's nothing you can do, but you can sort of squirt it. So I know you can't do it like you're saying about the worm eggs and stuff, but you can squirt it so it's not a standable in situation in some cases. But it's not ideal. But you're not going to get it all. Like you're not going to get it all. But
there is a thing you can get, a special poo spray you can get, and what it does is it freezes the poo solid. So because sometimes you're picking up a dog poo and it's kind of warm and squidgy and really horrible to touch. So what you can do with this is you can spray it and then it goes solid and hard and cold, and it's just much easier to pick it up, I suppose, and especially if they're a bit loose. So that's an option. And do you ever pick up somebody else's dog poo? If you come across, like, you're picking up your dog's one and that's fine, but then you notice somebody's left one over there. Do you ever go and do sort of a civic service to go and, I don't know, random poo picker upper?
I have, if I'm picking one up and there's one right beside it and it's not a big Wendy is a big dog, so sometimes it looks like a builder has snuck into your garden, to be honest. So if she's out and about, sometimes there's just not enough room in the bag. It's just not enough room in the bag. Whereas Stella has a much smaller surface area. So sometimes when Stella, if you'll pick one up and there's one beside it, then I'll just plod it into the bag and spin around. But I wouldn't be going around looking for it,
I think this is a funny thing, an odd thing, really. But I think that I don't actually mind picking up after my dog. Like, it's family. Whereas an old cold poo over there, it's like, it feels kind of alien and like really horrible. Like it's not family. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't mind wiping snot off your child's face, but some other child's face, it's just a bit more disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I tell you a story that you might have heard? This is like a guy I know told me about this story. He was, another friend of his was caught out on the beach. Him personally, not the dog. Like nature caught him out. And as he was finishing, a Labrador apparently arrived, and the Labrador arrived, and then the owner of the Labrador arrived and said to him, "Oh my God, I don't know what he's getting at these days." And he picked up the man's poo in the bag. And he couldn't tell him. He was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And the man was out for his morning walk and he was holding the bag of poo and saying, "So how are you getting on?" And they had a long chat, and he was holding his poo in a bag, looking at him on the beach. And he's like, I can't believe this. And I heard the WhatsApp voicemail, because of course that got sent around everyone. He's like, I was standing there and the dog jumped over and he picked up the poo, and I was like, it was too late to say anything, and he walked off with my poo in his hand looking for the bin, and oh my God, it's just so like you and me are picking up another dog poo. This is two men trying to have a conversation, and one of them knew. It's
That is very funny. That's very funny. But I think you're the survey, Dog Trust survey, has been quoted some statistics, and I'll just see if I can remember these. Is it true that 9 out of 10 people say that dog poo is a problem in their area? 9 out of 10.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, and it's like that's obviously gone up considerably in pandemic times, you know. So yeah, 9 out of 10 people saying that it is a problem, that they're avoiding it, or I suppose a lot of us as well are now eating outdoors that didn't eat outdoors before. A lot of us are sitting in parks or sitting in outdoor spaces. So there's people using outdoor spaces that never did. So now if dog poo's going up as well, like it's becoming like, you know, if you're going out with your kids and you want to have a picnic, it's on everybody's mind that you have to be careful, and shouldn't really be like that. We should be able to use spaces when I think we're going to sit down and indulge. Like 9 out of 10 people saying that it is like they have definitely, it's something they're worried about. Yeah, they're worried about it.
And I also heard that something like 69% of people say they've seen it in children's parks and playground areas. That's the worst, because that not only is it disgusting, but that's when it's dangerous. You know, something like 30% of Irish teenagers have got serological evidence, like antibodies in their bloodstream, which prove that they have been in contact with dog poo, as in been infected with the dog worm egg. 30%. That's very high. Like internationally, that's very high. And there was a survey done, it's a long time ago now, in 1994, of stray dogs in the Dublin area, and they found that 90% of the stray dogs were passing the worm egg in their poo. 90%. It's that common. And they did another survey just about 5 years ago, and they found that they did a survey of dogs that went to vet clinics, and they found out that only 6% of those dogs had dog worm eggs. So that's not so bad, but that's because they belong to people who worm their dogs regularly. And I think that's another thing people need to realize. If you've got a dog, even if you're picking up after your dog, you should still make sure you worm your dog regularly, because you don't want your dog to have worm eggs in their poo, just in case there's an occasional one that you miss, and then the risk is out there for children. And that's what you want to avoid, really, I guess.
And how often should you worm your dogs then? What's the proper amount of time?
Well, you know what? It depends. If you've got young children, you should worm your dog once a month all the time, for sure, if there's young children. Because young children are the ones who are vulnerable to this. Once a month. And you have to use a wormer that does the right worms, because not all wormers do. And people don't always realize, you know, what the right sort of worm to use is. So that's, once a month. If you haven't got young children or immunocompromised people, like, you know, people whose immune system mightn't be able to cope with the worm, then probably every 3 months or every 6 months is plenty. But it's one of those things. On our website, on Petfix Club, we've actually got a pet parasite planner. You can put in the details of your pet, and it'll suggest, you know, because it does depend on what's going on in your household, who lives in your house, what sort of life your dog has. Does it go out a lot? Does it mix with other dogs a lot? Does it run the countryside? There's lots of different things, questions that we ask about dogs, and once you ask the right questions, you can then give people the answers as to exactly what's right for their own dogs, and that's kind of the point, to get the right information out there. But listen, is there anything else we can talk about with dog poo? I think we kind of pretty much covered it.
There's only so much poo a man can talk, I suppose.
What do you do with the bags? Do you take them home, or do you put them in do you have to go and find a special dog litter poo bin, or what's the story?
No, you don't. No, this is a thing as well. There seems to be a misconception. I've had chats with people about this, and because there is, in a lot of parks, specific poo bins, people think, if there's no poo bin, then I'm not putting it in a regular bin. You can put it in any bin. You can put it in any bin. That's any bin on the way home from the park. That's any bin in the park. That's any bin anywhere. Dog poo, there's no specific bin. There is specific bins for dog poo, but that doesn't mean you can put it. You can't put it in any bin, because you can't. And anyone that tells you that different, they're just wrong.
True.
So, and you're not doing anything wrong by putting poo in any regular bin. So so that's something important to know. Yeah.
Just goes into landfill. Can you hold on 1 second there? Just a minute. Back in a sec.
He's gone and left us. So now it's just
He's back. He's back. I want to show you. I want to show you something I've got here, which is actually really handy. Look, it's a thing called. It's actually called the Dickey bag. Look. See what it is? It's like
yeah. I do see what it is.
It's made of kind of like neoprene, you know, and the idea
like
is
wetsuit material.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. And what it's got a little thing here to hang from your dog's collar if you want. Your dog can carry it around, or on your dog leash or something. But the idea is, look, it's like a sealed container. You see?
Yeah.
So what you do is you don't put fresh poo in there. You put your bagged poo. You put the poo bags when they're full. You put them in there, and then you can do the zip up. You see? And once you've done that, then you can carry it around, and it's all the horrible smell is contained inside that, and so there's no nastiness, and so there's no need to hang it on a tree branch, which is the other terrible thing that people do.
I've never understood that. I've never understood decorating a tree with dog poo. I've never really got what the point of that is. I still can't get my head around it. Or leaving the bag in the middle of the path, because inevitably people are going to cycle over it, or they're going to push something, because, you know, if you're moving at any speed at all, or if you're running, you're still going to stand it. And then you get burst poo bags. So not only is there poo on the street, you've now got plastic, unnecessary plastic thrown into the environment as well.
It's all mixed up
maybe
with
you can look at getting sort of, you know, compostable poo bags and stuff like that as well, because there's actually environmentally friendly poo bags out there too. I'm not sure how reliable they are, but it's definitely a better choice than just the roll of black plastics if you can.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, there's a bunch of questions, PJ. Can I ask you some of these questions?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
What's this one here? What breed of dog would you be? What breed of dog would you be if you could choose?
I think I'd be a whippet, because I like a little bit of exercise, and I like it all at once, and then I like to lounge around in front of the fire for the rest of the day.
They're a great breed of dog. They're a great breed of dog, aren't they?
Yeah.
Here's another one. What was the first dog you ever owned, and what was their name?
My first dog was a German Shepherd called Tara. A great family dog, and I feel like that dog lived for about 50 years. Obviously that's completely untrue, but you know the way you look back and your childhood feels so much longer than it actually was. So it feels like that dog was with us forever. I still have such fond memories of that dog. I mean, that's the dog that, you know, I grew up with. That dog was my pal, you know. I was with that dog before my sister was born. I was with that dog somewhat, so I have such fond memories of that amazing animal. And there was all these legendary stories about how he used to go to the shop and get the newspaper, and it was all rubbish, but a part of me just wants to believe it.
Yeah. Do you know what? My first dog was called Sheba. She was a golden retriever, and one of the things I can really remember really clearly is her collar, because once she died we kept her dog collar, and it almost became, it was like a what's the word, like a relic of Sheba that we kept for years. A dog gets so much into your emotional life, doesn't it?
Yeah, but dogs to me are family members. I don't they're just members of the family, you know. You take a dog in and they just become, like, I don't know, maybe it's a ridiculous sort of romantic or silly thing to say, but I was adopted. We adopt a dog. For me, it's all the same. They become family members, and I'm not one of the. I know I'm terrible. You're gonna hate me for this, but I'm someone that I don't mind sleeping with my dogs. People say you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. I say you lie down with dogs, you get up with ease. It's a different thing. You know, there's nothing more peaceful than dogs snoring. Human beings snoring is one of the most annoying sounds in the world. Dogs snoring is one of the nicest sounds. It's just like one of the best sounds. They make a bed comfortable. They make a life more enjoyable. They teach you to live in the moment. They think everything's fun. I mean, if you want to enjoy your life, look at your dog. You know, it's just the way. They're just, I don't know, like they make a house a home. I know I said it already, but they make a house a home.
Well, PJ, that you talking about living with dogs, that takes me on to the next question here, which is a little bit offbeat. From Jean in Sligo, are you single? Clearly not. You've got dogs
No,
got
yeah,
dogs.
obviously not. I have a very big romantic relationship going on with 2 dogs at the very least. I cannot say I'm single.
Good man. And here, Dogs Trust has sent us a wee message saying, can we mention it, how important it is that owners are familiar with their dogs? I can't read that. Can you read that?
I don't see it.
Oh, why does that happen sometimes? Sorry.
I think the
It says,
messages come in and it's hard to
it
keep
says,
up, is it?
can you mention how important it is that owners are familiar with their dogs? Something. Ah, that's really annoying. That's a glitch on my phone or something. I'll come back to that one. Here's another one. How do you feel about cats? I think we talked a bit about that, but tell me again, how do you feel about cats?
Oh, I love cats. I do. I really like cats. I mean, they're like, you know, slightly inferior, obviously, compared to the canine kind. But I do love cats. I'd actually really like to have a cat, but the dogs just wouldn't have it. They just would not be into it. So there's nothing I can do about it. But I'd love to have a cat in the house. I love that mix. Whenever I walk into someone's house and they have that mix where they have dogs and a cat, or a dog and a cat, I'm always quite envious of it, because it does feel like you're getting the best of both worlds, you know. I just never know how they manage to make them cooperate and communicate with each other.
I think once you get them when they're young, once they get used, like young animals are very, very adaptable. And so once young animals come into the house, they kind of adapt to everything. And the older animals seem to recognize that young animals shouldn't really be harmed. And so they kind of get along together generally, I think. Here's a few more questions coming in here, okay? Here's one from Emma Kate, who says, if you could be, oh, this is another one of those. If you could be any animal, not a dog, what would you be? We're really stretching you today, PJ.
This is great. What would I be?
Any animal, any animal.
Any animal. I mean, a horse or something. I mean, I know that still makes it possible to live in Ireland. I mean, that's pretty important. A horse or a cow. Or a sheep. I mean, like, you know, I'm not going to pick a tiger. I'm going to be living in the country. I don't know my way around. You know, as long as I can roam around the fields and get that sweet smell of Supermax in the background, you know what I mean? No, I'm familiar with my environment. So, yeah, some sort of domesticated Irish animal. I guess that's not a huge thing to choose from. We're going back to cats again.
We're getting on closer to the bottom of the barrel here. What genius came up with Dog-Poo Bingo on Radio Nova? Is that a thing? Is Dog-Poo Bingo a thing?
Dog-Poo Bingo is what we did with Dogs Trust on Radio Nova on Monday. So the campaign was launched and we had a game of Dog-Poo Bingo. So in Dogs Trust, we superimposed 16 squares, and one dog called Max, he comes out to do his poo at the same time every morning. And Max came out into the yard in Dogs Trust, and we took guesses from which square Max would do his poo in. And if you got it right, you went into a draw to win vouchers from Maxi Zoo. And Max came out, and after, literally, he timed it. His timing was, Max's timing is just incredible. Literally, on 30 seconds, going into the half-8 news, Max dropped a dump onto number 9, right on the edge, left his body in 15 to give us some controversy, but dropped it, clearly dumped into number 9 for Dog-Poo Bingo. And all those people who picked number 9 went into a draw, and we had 2 winners, because in fairness, if you're going to play Dog-Poo Bingo, you got to have a prize that's number 2. You can't give away just one prize.
That really is ridiculous. Okay. Where are we? Oh, here we go. Do you say hi to the dog before people? If you meet a dog in the park, do you say hello to the dog or to the person?
Oh, the dog. It's a habit.
Yeah.
It's a bad habit. I go, hello, fellow, or hello, little fella, or hello, whatever. I always talk to the dog. Poor Stella has some anxiety issues. So nowadays, I don't get to, if I'm with Stella, I have to do that. I'm trying to train. So I walk between Stella and the other dog, and then it keeps her, you know, a little. So when I'm with Stella, it's not as friendly. When I'm with Wendy, it's a lot more of it's a much more friendly thing. It's like, hello, how are you? Then the owner, oh, sorry, you too as well. Yeah, beg your pardon.
Great social enablers, aren't they? Like, I mean, if you just walked around by yourself without a dog, you really couldn't go up to people and start to talk to them. Like, they think you're weird.
Yeah.
But if you've got a dog, then you're suddenly somebody who's friendly and sociable and approachable.
Exactly. Yeah. It sort of softens your. I don't know. It makes you more socially. I don't know, like socially acceptable or something. It makes you more socially open. Yeah.
So, in fact, there's probably a tip for psychopaths out there is get a dog. That's a terrible thought, isn't it?
You'll always know the dog won't like the owner. It's a dead giveaway.
That's true. That's true. I've got a couple more here. This is a very dodgy one. Did you ever have a bad poo?
Did I ever have a bad poo?
What does that mean? I'm not quite sure what that means.
Well, on both, if he means the dog, yes. If he means me, yes. And in both cases, none of your business.
And listen, I'm going to go back to that Dog's Trust one again. I'm going to give that a shot because I'm going to do something strange. I'm going to turn the phone on its side and see if that brings the text up better. Hang on a second. That work? No, that's not working. Wait a minute. No, that's not working. That's not working either. No. Full circle here. No. Sorry, Dogs Trust. For some weird reason, your whole question isn't coming up, and we're just going to have to let that go. Anyway, feel a bit dizzy after all that, actually. Wait. I just turned the sound right down, too. There we go. Got it.
There you go. The joys of technology.
Look, is there anything else we should mention about this campaign that you're doing, or do you think we've pretty much covered it?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, essentially, that's it. And there's Dogs Trust now. Say important owners are familiar with their dog's poo. So, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Thank you, Dogs Trust. Yes. Well, I mean, that sounds a bit weird to say you're familiar with your dog's poo, as in, like, hello there, dog's poo. Good to meet you. That's not what they mean. No. What they mean really is you should know, like, as a vet, if I speak to somebody about their dog, about their dog's health, one of the questions I'll ask them is, well, tell us about your dog's poo. Is it solid? Is it loose? Or what is it? Like, part of understanding your dog's general health is to understand their poo. You know what it's like. Yeah.
It's worth keeping an eye on it, I suppose. Like anything else, like you're always looking for cuts, bruises, hair loss, or whatever, and keep an eye on the poo as well. Yeah, make sure it's consistent, I suppose.
An interesting thing about poo is that it obviously varies hugely depending on what a dog is eating. And a lot of folk don't realize this. So if you use a really high quality diet that's highly digestible, the poo volume will go right down. And you know, so instead of like how many poos a day do your dogs pass, PJ?
Oh, 2 maybe, depending. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it depends how excited they get. It seems to be a bit of that involved in it as well.
Right. More poo when they're more excited.
Yeah. Like,
well,
you know, if I leave them and we go for a very quiet walk later at night, I'll probably do 1. But as soon as you get to the park, they're going to do a poo, no matter what.
Yeah. But basically, if you can imagine, like, probably, I'm thinking about describing quantity. A medium-sized dog on a good diet will probably produce 1 handful of poo a day, whereas that same dog on a low-quality diet might produce 3 handfuls of poo a day. It makes that much difference. It really does.
That's
so good quality food, like the Petfix Club food. I should just put in there from the sponsors here. Now, here's another question: when should you be worried? Tamarag wants to know when you should be worried. When should you be worried, PJ?
When should I be worried? Like in general?
Yeah, when should you be worried?
Or do they mean with poo? Like, I mean, I guess when there's 3 lumps of it, is that what you mean? Or I guess when it's runny all the time, or I guess if there's a lot of rope in it or stuff like that, that's always a thing that I worry about.
I think these are all good things. I think you should be worried anytime your dog's poo doesn't look just nice and normal like it normally does. So if there's mucus in it and it's all white stuff on the outside, or if there's blood in it, you should definitely worry there's blood in it. or anything out of the ordinary, really, is something to note. Yeah, and she keeps asking the same question. Yeah, Tamarag, all you want is nice, normal sausage-like poos like your dog does most days. That's what you're looking for. And if your dog does poos that are different to that, then probably there's an issue, and you should talk to your vet or send me a message via Petfix on the Ask a Vet button, and I'll answer your question. I actually get people sending me photographs of poo quite often as part of the Petfix thing. And it's surprisingly useful. Like, you can tell a lot from the appearance of poo. Anyway, listen, this disgusting conversation has gone on too long now, I think. We've done as much poo as you can do in 45 minutes.
I think so.
I think folk have got the message. Pick up your poos after your dogs.
Definitely.
Pick up your
And
poos.
also, before I go, just like to say, it is the final starts in at 8 o'clock. So come on, Manchester United. Very
All right.
important.
Yeah. Thanks very much for fitting us in. I really appreciate it, PJ. It's been
See
great.
you
It's been
later.
good fun talking to you. See you again. Take care.
Take care, boss. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.
L is for the way.
At Petfix Club, we want to make owning a pet the best it can possibly be for you and the one you love. Enjoy personalised online pet care at petfixclub.com. Start your free trial today. Love your pet? Join the club.